In the last episode of a tale that would change the course of human history, the once blue skies of Earth had given way to a toxic haze, a constant reminder of the devastation that had ravaged the planet. The remnants of a bygone era struggled to survive, clinging to the ruins of a world that had been lost to greed and neglect. It was in this desolate landscape that a figure emerged, a beacon of hope in a world devoid of light. Ambrose Wynter, a name that would become synonymous with resilience and determination, stood at the forefront of a revolution. His vision for a better future had drawn in those who had been discarded by society, marginalized species who had been forced to the fringes of existence. With a charisma that inspired and a mind that innovated, Ambrose had begun to forge a new path, one that would lead humanity out of the darkness and into a brighter tomorrow. As I stood on the precipice of this new world, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and trepidation. The weight of responsibility rested heavily on my shoulders, for I was not just a leader but a symbol of hope in a world that had lost its way. The memories of the past still lingered, etched into my mind like the scars on a weathered face. I recalled the early days, the struggles to survive, the countless nights spent huddled in abandoned buildings, wondering if there would be a tomorrow. But I had never given up. I had always believed that there was more to life than the bleak existence that had been forced upon us. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of engines roaring to life, the hum of machinery, the hiss of hydraulics, and the chatter of my team as they prepared for liftoff. We were about to embark on a journey that would change the course of human history, a journey that would take us to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. "All right, let's move," I said, my voice carrying across the makeshift airfield. "We've got a schedule to keep." My team, a motley crew of engineers, soldiers, and scientists, scrambled to their stations. They had been with me since the beginning, and together we had overcome countless challenges. I knew that I could rely on them, no matter what lay ahead. As I climbed into the cockpit of our flagship, the Aurora, a sense of excitement mixed with trepidation coursed through my veins. We were about to venture into the unknown, to explore the vast expanse of space that had been closed off to us for so long. The engines ignited and the Aurora lifted off the ground, piercing the sky like a shard of glass. I felt a rush of adrenaline as the force of acceleration pushed me back into my seat. We were leaving the ruins of Earth behind, bound for a future that was full of promise and peril. The stars twinkled like diamonds against the inky blackness of space. I gazed out at the vast expanse, feeling a sense of awe and wonder. We had come so far, yet we had only just begun. Our destination was a planet on the edge of the galaxy, a world that was rumored to be rich in resources and habitable. The coordinates had been obtained from an unlikely source, a cryptic message from an anonymous ally who had been watching us from the shadows. As we approached the planet, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. What would we find on this world? Would it be a haven or a trap? The sensors began to pick up strange energy signatures emanating from the planet's surface. I frowned, my mind racing with possibilities. "Report," I said, my voice firm and commanding. "Unknown energy patterns," Ambrose, my chief engineer, replied. "It's like nothing I've seen before." I nodded, my eyes locked on the view screen. We were about to take a step into the unknown, and I was ready. The planet loomed before us, its surface shrouded in mystery. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what lay ahead. "Let's take a closer look," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The Aurora descended, plunging us into the unknown. And as we entered the planet's atmosphere, I knew that our journey was about to take a dramatic turn. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy, and I could feel it coursing through my veins. It was as if the planet itself was alive, watching us, waiting to see what we would do. I glanced over at my team, their faces set with determination. We were in this together, and we would face whatever lay ahead as one. The planet's surface rushed up to meet us, and I felt a jolt of fear. We were about to land, and I had no idea what awaited us. The engines died, and an eerie silence fell over the ship. I took a deep breath, preparing myself for what was to come. "Let's do this," I said, my voice firm. The ramp dropped and we stepped out into the unknown. The world was waiting and I was ready, but nothing could have prepared me for what lay ahead. As we emerged from the ship, I was struck by the beauty of the planet. The landscape stretched out before us, a vast expanse of green and blue with towering trees that seemed to touch the sky. But I was not here to sightsee. I had a mission to complete and I would not be deterred. "All right, let's get to work," I said, my voice carrying across the landscape. "We've got a lot to do." My team scattered, fanning out to survey the planet's surface. I watched them go, a sense of pride and purpose swelling in my chest. We were here to make a difference, to forge a new future for humanity, and I would stop at nothing to make that happen. The sun began to set on the planet's horizon, casting a golden glow over the landscape. I stood tall, my eyes locked on the horizon, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, I knew that this was just the beginning. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger, but I was ready. For I was Ambrose Wynter and I would not be defeated. The darkness closed in around us, but I was not afraid. I had a vision, a dream of a better future, and I would do whatever it took to make it a reality. The night wore on and I stood vigilant, watching over my team as they worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the planet. And as the first light of dawn began to creep over the horizon, I knew that we were on the cusp of something great. But little did I know, our arrival on this planet would not go unnoticed. We were being watched and the consequences of our actions would be far-reaching. The universe was full of mysteries and we were about to stumble into one of the biggest. The silence was broken by the sound of footsteps, approaching from the distance. I turned, my hand on the grip of my sidearm. A figure emerged from the trees, tall and imposing. Its eyes locked on mine and I could sense a deep intelligence burning within them. "Greetings, Ambrose Wynter," it said, its voice low and rumbling. I stood tall, my heart pounding in my chest. This was it, the moment of truth. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice firm. The alien regarded me for a moment, then replied, "I am Archaea, ambassador of the Xanthian Empire. And you, Ambrose Wynter, are either a savior or a destroyer. The choice is yours." The words hung in the air, heavy with portent. I knew that our journey had just taken a dramatic turn, one that would change the course of human history forever. And as I looked into the eyes of Archaea, I knew that the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The universe was full of mysteries and I was about to uncover one of its biggest secrets. But for now, the future was uncertain, and I could only wait and see what lay ahead. I regarded Archaea, my mind racing with the implications of his words. Savior or destroyer, the choice was mine, but what did that even mean? "What do you want from us?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. Archaea's eyes seemed to bore into my soul as if searching for something. "We have been watching you, Ambrose Wynter. We have been waiting for humanity to take its place among the galactic community." I frowned, unsure of what to make of his statement. "And what exactly do you mean by take its place?" Archaea's expression was unreadable, but his voice took on a hint of excitement. "The Xanthian Empire is willing to offer humanity a seat at the galactic table. We are willing to share our knowledge and resources with you to help you rebuild and thrive." I exchanged a skeptical glance with my team. This sounded too good to be true. What was the catch? "What do you want in return?" I asked, my hand still resting on the grip of my sidearm. Archaea's eyes seemed to glint with amusement. "Oh, we want nothing in return, at least not yet. We merely want to observe, learn from you, and perhaps eventually form a mutually beneficial alliance." I raised an eyebrow, unsure of what to make of Archaea's words. This was either a remarkable opportunity or a clever trap. "I need to discuss this with my team," I said, taking a step back. "Can you give us some time to consider your proposal?" Archaea nodded, his expression unreadable. "I can give you 24 hours. After that, our offer will be revoked and other factions may take notice of your presence here." I nodded, my mind racing with the implications. This was a turning point, one that could change the course of human history. As I turned to my team, I knew that we had to make a decision, and fast. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was not sure if I was ready to make the choice that would determine its future. "What do we do?" one of my team members asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I took a deep breath, weighing our options. "We need to gather more information, learn more about the Xanthian Empire and their true intentions." My team nodded and we set to work, scouring the planet's surface for any clues that might reveal the truth behind Archaea's offer. As the hours ticked by, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were running out of time. The fate of humanity was at stake, and I was not sure if I was ready to make the choice that would determine its future. But as I looked around at my team, I knew that I was not alone. We would face this challenge together as one, and whatever lay ahead, I was ready. The universe was full of mysteries, and I was about to uncover one of its biggest secrets. But for now, the future was uncertain, and I could only wait and see what lay ahead as the hours ticked by. Our search for information proved to be a daunting task. The Xanthian Empire's presence on the planet was minimal, and we were unable to find any records or clues that could shed light on their true intentions. I paced back and forth in the makeshift command center we had set up, my mind racing with possibilities. Archaea's words kept echoing in my mind, savior or destroyer, and I couldn't help but wonder what he meant by that. Suddenly, one of my team members, Jackson, approached me, a look of concern etched on his face. "Ambrose, I think I've found something," he said, his voice low. I turned to him, my heart racing. "What is it?" Jackson hesitated before speaking. "I managed to hack into the planet's security systems. I think I found a hidden transmission from Archaea to someone, or something." I leaned in, my curiosity piqued. "Play it," I said, my voice firm. Jackson nodded and a holographic display flickered to life in front of us. Archaea's face appeared, his eyes gleaming with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "The humans are on the cusp of greatness," he said, his voice dripping with conviction. "But they must be guided. They must be shown the way." The transmission cut off, leaving me with more questions than answers. "What does it mean?" one of my team members asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I took a deep breath, my mind racing with possibilities. "It means we can't trust Archaea," I said, my voice firm. "He's hiding something from us." The room fell silent as my team digested the implications. Suddenly, the comm system crackled to life. "Ambrose Wynter, this is Archaea. Our 24-hour window is almost up. What is your decision?" I took a deep breath, weighing our options. We could accept Archaea's offer and risk being trapped in a web of deceit, or we could refuse and potentially forfeit our chance at greatness. I looked around at my team, my heart heavy with the weight of responsibility. "We need to make a decision," I said, my voice firm. "And we need to make it now." The future of humanity hung in the balance, and I was about to make the choice that would determine its course. But what was the right choice? As I hesitated, the universe seemed to hold its breath, waiting for my response. And then I made my decision. "Well, take your offer," I said, my voice firm. "But we'll do it on our own terms." Archaea's response was immediate. "I look forward to working with you, Ambrose Wynter. Together, we will change the course of history." But as I looked around at my team, I knew that I had just made a deal with the devil himself, and I wasn't sure if I was ready to face the consequences. As I gazed out at the stars, a sense of unease settled in the pit of my stomach. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being led further down the rabbit hole, further into the heart of the Xanthian Empire's sinister plans. "Jackson, can you try to trace the transmission?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, his fingers flying across the console. "Already on it, Ambrose." The room fell silent once more, the only sound the soft hum of the computers as they worked to unravel the mystery. I turned to my team, my eyes locking onto each of theirs. "We need to be cautious. We can't trust Archaea completely." There were nods of agreement, but I could sense the uncertainty, the doubt that lingered beneath the surface. As we waited, the minutes ticked by like hours, each one crawling by at a snail's pace. I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. Suddenly, Jackson looked up, a frown etched on his face. "Ambrose, I've got something." I turned to him, my heart racing. "What is it?" It's a hidden server buried deep within the Xanthian Empire's mainframe, Jackson said, his voice low. I think it might contain the answers we're looking for. I leaned in, my eyes locked onto the data streaming across the console. Get me in. Jackson nodded, his fingers flying across the keyboard. All right, Ambrose. I'm trying to hack into the server. Now. The room fell silent once more, the tension palpable as we waited for Jackson to breach the server. And then, a holographic display flickered to life in front of us, the Xanthian Empire's insignia etched across the top of the screen. What is this? I breathed, my eyes scanning the data streaming across the console. It's a protocol, Jackson stammered. A protocol for a project codenamed Elysium. I felt a chill run down my spine as I read the words, my mind reeling with the implications. Elysium, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Yes, Jackson replied, his voice firm. It looks like the Xanthian Empire is planning to create a new breed of super soldiers, using advanced technology to enhance their abilities. I felt a cold dread creeping up my spine as I realized the true extent of the Xanthian Empire's plans. We need to get this information back to the Alliance, I said, my voice firm. Now. But as I turned to Jackson, I saw the look of horror etched across his face. Ambrose, I think we're too late, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I followed his gaze to the console, and my heart stopped in my chest. The Xanthian Empire's insignia had changed, replaced by a new symbol, the emblem of the Galactic Council. I felt a wave of betrayal wash over me as I realized the true extent of Archaea's treachery. We've been played, I whispered, my voice barely audible. The universe seemed to be spinning out of control, and I was left staring into the abyss, unsure of what lay ahead. But one thing was certain: I would stop at nothing to uncover the truth, to bring Archaea and the Galactic Council to justice. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was the only one standing in the way of their sinister plans. As I stood there, frozen in shock, I knew that I had to act, to make a stand against the forces of darkness that sought to destroy us. The die had been cast, and the battle for humanity's future had begun. I took a deep breath, the weight of the betrayal settling heavy on my shoulders. The room seemed to grow darker, as if the very presence of the Galactic Council's insignia had sucked the air out of it. Ambrose, what do we do? Lyra asked, her voice laced with concern. I turned to her, my eyes locking onto hers. We need to get out of here now. We can't trust Archaea or the Galactic Council. I glanced around the room, my mind racing with the implications. We had to move fast before the Council could react. Jackson, can you hack into the station's security systems? I asked, my voice firm. He nodded, his fingers already flying across the console. I'm on it, Ambrose. I turned to Lyra and the others. We need to get to the ships. We can't stay here. The room erupted into a flurry of activity as we scrambled to gather our gear and make our escape. As we moved through the station, Jackson's hacking skills proved invaluable, disabling security cameras and alarms, clearing a path for us. But I knew it was only a matter of time before the Galactic Council responded. We had to move fast before they could mobilize their forces against us. We reached the docking bay, our ships waiting like loyal companions. I sprinted towards my own vessel, my heart pounding in my chest. As I boarded, I called out to Jackson, "Get the others out of here. It'll cover our retreat." Jackson nodded, his eyes locked onto mine. "Be careful, Ambrose." I smiled grimly. I always am. I sealed the cockpit, the ship's systems springing to life around me. I lifted off, joining the others as we made our escape from the station. As we fled into the safety of hyperspace, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were just delaying the inevitable. The Galactic Council would regroup, recharge, and come after us with everything they had. But for now, we had a small window of opportunity, and I intended to use it to uncover the truth, to bring Archaea and the Council to justice. The battle for humanity's future had begun, and I was ready to fight. I set a course for the one place I knew I could find the answers I needed, the heart of the Xanthian Empire itself. Elysium still echoed in my mind, a haunting reminder of the sinister plans that lurked in the shadows. But I was Ambrose Wynter, the man who had defied the odds, who had forged an empire from the ashes of humanity's downfall. And I would stop at nothing to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The darkness of hyperspace enveloped us, a temporary reprieve from the dangers that lurked in the galaxy. I couldn't shake the feeling of unease, my mind racing with the implications of Archaea's betrayal. Lyra's voice broke the silence, her tone laced with concern. "Ambrose, what's our plan?" "We need to gather our allies," I replied, my eyes fixed on the navigation charts. "The Xanthians, the Kralians, anyone who will stand with us against the Galactic Council." "And then what?" Jackson asked, his voice skeptical. "We take the fight to them," I said, my jaw set. "We uncover the truth behind Elysium and bring Archaea to justice." The silence that followed was palpable, heavy with the weight of our task. But I knew we had no choice. We had to fight for our freedom, for our future. As we emerged from hyperspace, the planet of Zeridiroman 4 loomed before us, a stunning blue-green world that served as the seat of the Xanthian Empire. I felt a sense of trepidation, knowing that our reception would be far from warm. I hailed the Xanthian Emperor, my voice firm and resolute. "This is Ambrose Wynter, leader of humanity. I request an audience with your majesty." The response was immediate, the Emperor's voice like thunder. "Ambrose Wynter, you are a fugitive from the Galactic Council. Why should I grant you an audience?" I smiled, a plan already forming in my mind. "Because, your majesty, I possess knowledge that could change the course of history, and am willing to share it with you in exchange for your allegiance." The Emperor's response was silence, but I knew he was intrigued. I had piqued his interest, and now it was time to negotiate. "Very well, Ambrose Wynter," the Emperor said finally. "I will grant you an audience, but be warned, I will not be swayed by empty promises." I smiled, a sense of confidence growing within me. I had played this game before, and I knew exactly how to win. "Thank you, your majesty," I said, my voice dripping with sincerity. "I look forward to our meeting." As we docked on Zeridiroman 4, I could feel the weight of the galaxy upon me. This was it, the moment of truth. I would either emerge victorious or I would fall. But I was Ambrose Wynter, the master of the game, and I would stop at nothing to secure humanity's future. I stepped out of the ship, my eyes scanning the Xanthian guards that surrounded us. Lyra and Jackson flanked me, their presence a reassuring comfort. We were about to embark on the most dangerous journey of our lives, but I knew we would emerge victorious. For humanity, for our future, we would stop at nothing. As we walked towards the Emperor's throne room, I felt a sense of destiny calling. This was it, the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. And I was ready to answer. The throne room was a testament to the Xanthian Empire's opulence, with gleaming silver walls and a throne that shone like a star. The Emperor himself was a towering figure, his eyes piercing and unforgiving. "Ambrose Wynter, you are a man of great ambition," the Emperor said, his voice dripping with disdain. "But you are also a fugitive, a rebel against the Galactic Council. Why should I risk my empire's security by allying with you?" I smiled, my eyes locked on the Emperor's. "Because, your majesty, I possess knowledge that could change the course of history. Knowledge that could give the Xanthian Empire the upper hand in the galaxy." The Emperor raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Go on." "I have discovered the location of Elysium," I said, my voice low and deliberate. "The fabled city of the Ancient Ones hidden deep within the galaxy, and I am willing to share its secrets with you in exchange for your allegiance." The Emperor's expression was unreadable, but I could sense the gears turning in his mind. He knew the significance of Elysium, the power it held. "I am not a fool, Ambrose Wynter," the Emperor said finally. "I know that Elysium is guarded by ancient technology that even the Galactic Council cannot breach. How do you propose to overcome this obstacle?" I smiled, a plan already forming in my mind. "That, your majesty, is where humanity's ingenuity comes in. We have developed a technology that can bypass the ancient defenses, allowing us to unlock Elysium's secrets." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "I want to see this technology for myself. Bring it to me and we will discuss the terms of our alliance. I nodded, a sense of relief washing over me. I had played my cards perfectly and now it was time to make my move. Very well, Your Majesty, I said, my voice dripping with sincerity. I will bring the technology to you and we will forge an alliance that will shake the galaxy. As we left the throne room, I could feel the weight of the galaxy shifting. Humanity was one step closer to emerging as a dominant power, and I was the mastermind behind it. But as we walked back to our ship, Lyra's voice whispered in my ear. Ambrose, are you sure we can trust the Xanthians? I smiled, a sense of confidence growing within me. We don't need to trust them, Lyra. We just need to use them to further our own agenda. Lyra's eyes narrowed, a hint of disapproval in her gaze, but I knew she would fall in line, for the sake of humanity's future. As we lifted off into the sky, I gazed out at the planet of Zeridiroman 4, a sense of destiny calling. This was it, the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy, and I was ready to answer. But as we flew through the galaxy, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The Galactic Council was still out there, waiting to strike. And Archaea's betrayal still lingered in my mind, a reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the task at hand. We had to secure the Xanthian alliance and then we would take the fight to the Galactic Council. But as we jumped into hyperspace, I felt a strange sensation, like the fabric of space-time was shifting around us. And when we emerged on the other side, I knew that something was wrong. The galaxy had changed, and I was about to find out why the stars blurred together as we exited hyperspace, the ship's instruments beeping wildly as they struggled to compensate for the distortion. Lyra's hand tightened around the armrest, her eyes fixed on the viewscreen as we emerged into normal space. "What's going on, Ambrose?" she asked, her voice tight with concern. I frowned, my heart racing as I scanned the data pouring in. "I don't know, but something's off. The navigation charts are recalibrating and, oh no." The viewscreen flickered, and then a new star field resolved before us. But it wasn't the Zeridia system we were supposed to be in. The stars were unfamiliar and the planets. "Where are we?" Lyra breathed, her voice barely audible. I felt a chill run down my spine as I accessed the ship's database. The information scrolled before me and my heart sank. "We're in the Andromeda Galaxy," I said, my voice flat. Lyra's eyes widened. "That's impossible. We couldn't have jumped that far." I knew what she was thinking. This was not just a navigational error, it was a fundamental shift in the fabric of spacetime. The hyperspace lanes had been stable for centuries, and yet, "We need to get our bearings," I said, trying to sound calmer than I felt. "Run diagnostics on the ship's systems and try to pinpoint our location." Lyra nodded, her fingers flying across the console. I turned to the viewscreen, my mind racing with implications. What did this mean for our mission? For humanity's future? The silence was oppressive, the only sound the soft hum of the ship's engines. I felt like I was staring into the abyss, the unknown looming before us like an unscalable cliff. "Ambrose, I have the data," Lyra said finally, her voice laced with uncertainty. I turned to her, my heart heavy with foreboding. "What is it?" "We're approximately 300,000 light-years from the Zeridia system," she said. Her eyes locked on mine. "And we're not alone." My gut twisted with a sense of foreboding. Who or what was out here with us? I felt a shiver run down my spine as I processed Lyra's words. Not alone. The implications were staggering. We were deeper into unknown territory than I had ever imagined. "Run a sweep," I ordered, trying to keep my voice steady. "Get me everything you can on nearby systems and any potential threats." Lyra nodded, her fingers flying across the console. The viewscreen flickered and a holographic display sprang to life before us, casting an eerie blue glow over the bridge. I leaned forward, my eyes scanning the data as it poured in. The readings were unlike anything I had seen before. Energy signatures that defied explanation, anomalous radiation patterns, and— "Lyra, what's that?" I asked, pointing to a peculiar reading on the edge of the display. She followed my gesture, her brow furrowed in concentration. "It looks like some kind of gateway." The energy signature is unlike anything I've seen. I felt a spark of curiosity ignite within me. A gateway to where? Was this the key to understanding our strange journey through hyperspace? I want to know more, I said, my voice firm. Plot a course for that gateway. We need to explore this further. Lyra's eyes widened, and for a moment I saw a flicker of hesitation. Ambrose, are you sure that's wise? We don't know what kind of dangers are out here. I smiled, a cold, calculating smile. I had faced down the Galactic Council, outmaneuvered my foes, and forged an empire from the ashes of humanity's ruin. I would not be intimidated by the unknown. I've faced worse odds, Lyra, I said, my voice dripping with confidence. Well, take it one step at a time. Prepare the ship for entry into the gateway. Lyra nodded, her expression resolute. Aye, Captain. The ship's instruments beeped and the view screen flared as we adjusted course. I felt the thrum of anticipation building within me. What secrets lay beyond this mysterious gateway? And what would be the cost of unlocking them? As we drew closer, the energy signature grew stronger, filling the ship with an electric tension. I could feel the weight of the unknown pressing in around us, waiting to pounce. Entering the gateway, Lyra announced, her voice tight with tension. The ship shuddered, and the view screen went dark. I felt a strange, disorienting sensation, as if the very fabric of space-time was bending around us, and then, suddenly, we were through. The view screen flared back to life, casting an ethereal glow over the bridge. I gazed out into the unknown, my heart pounding in my chest. What wonders or horrors lay before us? The silence was oppressive, the only sound the soft hum of the ship's engines. I felt like I was staring into the abyss, the unknown looming before us like an unscalable cliff. What do you see, Lyra? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Lyra's eyes were fixed on the view screen, her face pale. It's unlike anything I've ever seen, Ambrose. There are structures out there, cities maybe, but they are not natural. They are alive. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I gazed out into the unknown. Alive. The implications were staggering. We were not alone in the universe, and I had a feeling that our presence here was about to change everything. The words hung in the air like a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down by the universe itself. Alive. I felt my mind reeling, struggling to comprehend the sheer magnitude of this discovery. Cities that were alive. It defied explanation, pushed the boundaries of understanding, and raised questions that threatened to consume me. Get me as much data as you can, Lyra, I ordered, trying to keep my voice steady. I want to know everything about these structures. Lyra nodded, her fingers flying across the console with a speed and precision that belied the enormity of the situation. The view screen flickered and a holographic display sprang to life before us, casting an eerie blue glow over the bridge. I leaned forward, my eyes scanning the data as it poured in. The readings were unlike anything I had seen before. Energy signatures that pulsed like living tissue, radiation patterns that danced like a chorus of stars, and something else, something that defied explanation. Lyra, what's that? I asked, pointing to a peculiar reading on the edge of the display. She followed my gesture, her brow furrowed in concentration. It looks like some kind of resonance. The structures are generating a harmonic frequency that's interacting with the local space-time continuum. I felt a spark of excitement ignite within me. This was it, the key to understanding this strange new world. Can you tune into that frequency? I asked, my voice firm. Lyra's eyes narrowed, her fingers moving with precision across the console. The ship's instruments beeped, and the view screen flared as we adjusted course. Suddenly, the bridge was filled with a low, pulsing hum. It was like nothing I had ever heard before, a vibration that resonated deep within my chest. I felt the ship itself begin to vibrate in sympathy, as if it too were alive. What's happening? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Lyra's eyes were fixed on the view screen, her face pale. We're being drawn into the resonance, Ambrose. I think it's a communication frequency. Communication. The implications were staggering. These cities, these alive structures, were trying to communicate with us. I felt a shiver run down my spine as the hum grew louder, the vibrations intensifying. It was like being on the cusp of a great revelation, a discovery that would change humanity forever. And then, suddenly, the hum stopped. The view screen went dark and the bridge was silent once more. I felt like I was holding my breath, waiting for something to happen. And then, out of the darkness, a voice spoke. "Greetings, Ambrose Wynter. We have been waiting for you." The words echoed through the bridge, sending shivers down my spine. I felt Lyra's eyes on me, her gaze filled with a mix of wonder and trepidation. "Who are you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, trying to process the enormity of this moment. There was a pause, as if the speaker was collecting its thoughts. "We are the architects," it replied finally. "We have been waiting for your species to reach this point in their development." I felt a surge of excitement mixed with caution. This was a momentous occasion, one that could change the course of human history. "What do you want from us?" I pressed, my mind racing with possibilities. "We want to share knowledge," the voice replied. "We have watched your species for eons, observed your struggles and triumphs. We believe it is time for us to guide you, to help you unlock the secrets of the universe." I felt a pang of skepticism, but my curiosity got the better of me. What secrets could these beings possibly possess? "What kind of knowledge?" I asked. My eyes locked on the view screen as if I expected to see the speaker's face. There was another pause, as if the architects were choosing their words carefully. "We can show you the path to true intergalactic unity," it said finally. "We can reveal the mysteries of the cosmos, teach you how to harness its power." I felt my mind reeling, trying to comprehend the implications. True intergalactic unity, harnessing the power of the cosmos. This was too good to be true. "What's the catch?" I asked, my instincts screaming caution. The voice chuckled, a low, rumbling sound. "There is always a catch, Ambrose Wynter," it said, "but we will reveal that to you in time. For now, let us simply say that we require something in return." I felt a cold dread creeping up my spine. What could these beings possibly want in return for their knowledge? And what would be the true cost of this alliance? "Name it," I said finally, trying to keep my voice firm. There was another pause, and then the voice spoke. "We require your presence on our homeworld," it said. "We wish to discuss the terms of our alliance in person." I felt a shiver run down my spine. This was a turning point, a decision that would change the course of human history, and I had to make it now. I turned to Lyra, saw the concern etched on her face. "Prepare a team," I said finally. "We're going to meet the architects." Lyra nodded, her eyes never leaving mine. "Yes, Ambrose. I'll assemble a team of our best scientists and diplomats." I nodded, my mind racing with the implications. What would we find on the architects' homeworld? What secrets would they reveal to us? And what would be the true cost of this alliance? As Lyra turned to leave, I caught her arm. "Lyra, be careful. We don't know what we're getting ourselves into." She nodded, a hint of determination in her voice. "I'll be ready, Ambrose. We'll make sure to bring our A-game." I released her arm, watching as she disappeared into the bustle of the bridge. I turned back to the view screen, my eyes locked on the swirling vortex of colors. "We're on our way," I said, my voice firm. The voice chuckled again, the sound sending shivers down my spine. "We will await your arrival, Ambrose Wynter. Prepare yourself for the revelation of a lifetime." The transmission ended and the view screen returned to its default mode, showing the starfield stretching out before us. I felt a sense of anticipation building inside me, a mix of excitement and trepidation. I turned to the navigation officer. "Set a course for the architect's homeworld. Maximum speed." The officer nodded, her fingers flying across the console. "Course plotted, Ambrose. We'll reach the homeworld in 3 hours." I nodded, my mind racing with the possibilities. 3 hours. That was all the time we had to prepare ourselves for the unknown. I turned to the bridge crew. "Get to work, people. We have a lot to do before we arrive." The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity, scientists and engineers scrambling to prepare for our encounter with the architects. I stood tall, my eyes scanning the room, my mind racing with the implications. What would we find on the architect's homeworld? What secrets would they reveal to us? And what would be the true cost of this alliance? The questions swirled in my mind, refusing to let go. I knew one thing for certain, though: this was a moment that would change the course of human history, and I was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The hours ticked by, each one filled with a sense of anticipation and dread. My team and I pored over the data, trying to glean any information we could about the architects and their homeworld. But there was nothing. No records, no rumors, no whispers of a species capable of intergalactic unity and cosmos harnessing power. It was as if they had emerged from nowhere, their existence a myth until now. I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the task at hand. We had to be prepared for anything. As the countdown reached 0, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. It was time to meet the architects. "Lyra, are you ready?" I asked, turning to my trusted advisor. She nodded, her eyes locked on mine. "I'm ready, Ambrose. Let's do this." I nodded, a sense of determination building inside me. It was time to take the next step in humanity's evolution. "Then let's go," I said, my voice firm. The airlock hissed open and we stepped into the unknown.